Hey guys, good to see so many of you already in the chat having a good discussion. Hey Don, how was the first aid class? Good man, good. The instructor was hot, so that's always nice. Cred says, I'm strapped in for 60 plus minutes of bearish propaganda, state-sponsored brainwashing. Nah, we're not gonna do 60 minutes of propaganda. I'll try to keep it children friendly. Before I start, shout out to Blockfolio for sponsoring the show. Their links are in the description if you want to check them out. If you want to kind of do trading on your mobile phone, they have pretty much the best place to do it at. So definitely encourage people that like to do that kind of stuff to check it out. I've enjoyed it so far. So yeah. I liked your selfie at sunrise. Appreciate it. Showing my good sides. No screen, all black. Oh yeah, actually true. Jesus. Someone could have said something. Cred's watching and he's not saying anything. We're good anyway. Yeah, I mean, I only did the intro anyway, and I think you could hear that, right? And yeah, excuse, like if I'm all over the place today, it's because yeah, today's been super long for me. So excuse me being a little bit all over the place. I did say something, Chuckface. That is true, and I appreciate it. So yeah, Bitcoin's kind of took a shit since last we spoke, and I don't know, like I honestly don't remember what I said last time. So I mean, you'll have to fill in the gaps for me. But I'm pretty sure, like I was cautious. I don't know, probably. But yeah, the weekly time frame kind of looks like garbage to me. I hate when you have breakouts that immediately return to where they broke out from, and that's the case right here. If you want to be like super precise, super cautious, whatever, it's a short below weekly. Like let's say the next weekly closes below this box and it's long above it. That's as good as it gets on a higher time frame chart. I mean, this is like a tiny range, right? So far we're ranging, but I think like any kind of close outside of the range boundaries is gonna look garbage or good, right? The problem is the fake out was to the upside. So that's already like making me lean a little bit on the bearish side. But then again, like trends up and you have a bunch of stuff speaking for the bulls. So it's not as obvious as just saying, okay, this looks bearish, it's gonna go down, right? It's because he's bearish melts the brain. It's not true. Yeah. I shall not listen to it. Bullying from Cred from second row. But yeah, the daily time frame, that's where it really starts looking rough. And I think there's a really good way to kind of navigate this, which is basically bearish below here, neutral in here, and bullish above here. And so far we're trading below. So, I mean, on the lower time frames, should expect a move to support, right, to down here. You don't have to short that. I mean, it's a bull trend. I think like the short setups have been pretty shitty. It's not like, okay, this just looks kind of garbage, so I'm gonna short. It's more of a, okay, if it invalidates the short setup, I'm gonna long, right? And I still think that's the best way to play it, which would be going into here or closing above here even. That makes me like super bullish if we start closing back above 61. And that's not that far away. It looks like it's a lot, but I mean, that's like what, 10% move? Yeah. So it's not really big of a deal missing that. If you want to be trading it, I mean, you can still long with the day looking as shit as it does. And I mean, there is an argument to be made about this support in here. So if you get along from there, like if you get filled down there, I mean, go ahead and then just keep it tight, right? I don't mind it. But yeah, real good kind of trades, I think, are above here. And if you're like an aggressive bull, I think your bullish trades are up here, not down here. Okay. Careful with this bearish below, bullish above. We've been constantly fake outing these for the past months. Not really true. I mean, this was the fake out, the last one. And I mean, that one led to a pretty significant down move. That was pretty telegraphed by it closing back below the breakout level. So even if you didn't listen to like the Coinbase, the coin listing basically being bearish, right? Even if you disregarded this entire thing, I mean, you got basically the candle close below support and then the instant nuke after. So, I mean, that was straightforward. Now, let's say you flip bullish on the breakout and then you go back out here, right? I mean, that's a loss of not that much. And then if you took risk off, you're actually ahead of it. It's just got to be a little bit quick. Like, and I mean, quick in this case is you have a full day to do it, right? So it's not terrible. But yeah, I don't like how this looks. I think there's a reasonable chance that this is the midterm top. So I'm just cautious. And I'll kind of change that view if we start trading above 61. And I'll start looking at it really hard and start trying to make a really good bull case above 57. That's as good as I can make it. I love how everyone says how obvious 10K dump was. Yeah. I mean, do you get it? I mean, everyone's saying it, but do you really get it more obvious than this? Like a breakout, you have a breakout, you have a retest, it doesn't materialize, and then you get a big red candle that closes below it. I mean, that is basically the setup that I always talk about, right? Just on the other side. Like I always talk about, okay, if you want to be buying something, you have a range, it breaks down, it reclaims, fucking mega moon it to the upside. It's literally the same setup, just on the inverse, right? And I mean, that's basically how I trade almost all altcoins, and it's not just for altcoins, it's for Bitcoin as well. So for Bitcoin, what we had was a breakout, and then it failed. And what happens after? Move to the range low. Now you could argue this is the range low, you could argue this is the range low. I like this better, but I mean, for the mega bulls for in the stream, I mean, this isn't bad either. It looks like it will go sideways in that range. Yeah, I could see that too. Like it just going sideways in here and then maybe go back up. But then it would have to go sideways for a while because really we're in a massive, massive bull trend and we hadn't had a single pullback. So it makes sense to kind of chill. Doesn't have to be chill in the sense of, okay, we pull back 40%, but it has to be some sort of chill, right? Be it sideways for a month or be it a pullback of 40%. Okay, looks like it would go sideways in range, so no future of France. I mean, it's not looking terrible yet. And this is like, even if this pulled back into something I've been saying for a while, even if this pulled back 40%, still look good, right? So no reason to panic on the long-term aspects of it. Just because it looks like it's gonna pull back on the short time frames doesn't have to mean that it's done, right? And maybe this gets invalidated. I'd be happy with it. Like, let's say this turned back up. You have some spot bids coming in here again, and it just turns back up, goes up here, and then starts breaking out. I would expect it to at least break the all-time high, probably go to like 75 or so. Don gave so much alpha this 2 years. I'm seeing all happening now with my eyes. Grateful for all. Appreciate it, man. That's a very kind comment to make. Honestly, I think the play is to be majority tethered and intraday scalp altcoins. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, I'm not even intraday scalping altcoins. I've just been trading some of them. Still in Wi-Fi. This has kind of been sucky because it's taking so long. But like, that's the thing, right? With these kind of setups, like 10% risk, whatever. I mean, it's already up 2R, but it just takes a long time to play out. Not entirely sure if I even want to hold this if it takes much, much longer. But so far, so good, right? We talked about this extensively on the stream. And then Litecoin, I mean, can't complain about that one. Still looks good, right? Invalidation, basically below these lows. So it's already, like, even if it gets stopped out, it's already up more than 1 hour. So that's kind of like where my attention's been at, because Bitcoin really doesn't look like it's either going to do nothing or it's going to go down, in my opinion. And I could be wrong on that. I don't really mind. I don't have a short going. I just risk off. No reason to panic, but look at the weekly chart. Yeah, I mean, I just showed it earlier. Looks kind of garbage. Like, look at this. If that starts closing like that, not pretty. I mean, you might not be able to see it here, but you can see it overshooting in here, and that's not a good look. Grab liquidity below 51 and spring to all-time high, Mr. Wyckoff. I mean, maybe. I mean, 51, like 49 area, that is a good support to me. So maybe. With regards to the bigger altcoins, ETH's been going on an absolute tear, and for good reason, right? Chart's been looking pretty damn nice, in my opinion. Retested the all-time high again, and then just took off, right? Now, this isn't really the chart that's been looking really, really good, but the ETH BTC chart's just been looking good to me. And the reason for that is the diagonal breakout into the horizontal breakout here, right? So you have this diagonal. I don't even know where that's coming from, but I've had it on my chart for ages. Where is it? Oh, this, the log, whatever. Still good. We can make one, because you can always make one. This actually doesn't look too bad. Had a fake out below, whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? We broke the horizontal level. And I don't really see a good resistance left. So I'm on ETH BTC. I think that just looks bullish. I don't really see a good reason to be overly bearish. Now, you can be bearish ETH USD if you want to, just based off of the fact that Bitcoin doesn't look too good. But then again, like, if ETH BTC goes on a tear, you're not gonna be too happy shorting ETH USD, right? And that looks decent still. And what ETH USD did is just retest basically the breakout level, retested the all-time high. I mean, that's not looking bad. Rising megaphone looking pattern on ETH BTC. We can look on a clean chart, see if we're missing anything. I mean, that, even if you're like drawing this, right? And you're like, okay, it's gonna find resistance somewhere up there. Jesus Christ, that's ugly. Whatever, good enough. Yeah, I can't be too bearish on that. It's not a bad looking chart. And it would make sense to me for ETH to go up with all the DeFi stuff being hot news. So yeah, not much to say on that front. If you're looking for an entry, right, on ETH BTC, intra-week wicks to down here would make sense to me. So let's say anything, like something happens with Bitcoin, be it break out or break down, this could wick down back into that support that's a good entry. If that fails, I mean, so be it, right? Sometimes trades fail, but I mean, that looks like a good area. Okay, I mean, that's Bitcoin, that's ETH, right? It's kind of weird. We have a pretty big divergence going for Bitcoin and ETH. So ETH retested the all-time high, like I said earlier, and bounced. Bitcoin retested the all-time high, mega failed it, and then broke down completely, and it's now bearishly retesting daily resistance. It's night and day apart. And I mean, in general, what I've been saying for basically how I kind of judged that the top was in 17 was that the altcoins were starting to do really well. And that indicated all the retail action that was coming into the market, right? And now we're getting big divergences between Bitcoin and altcoins again. And I could see that play out the same way. Now, the Bitcoin chart in general doesn't look like a typical Bitcoin top, but then again, like it's a big market now in comparison to what it used to be. So could be regardless, right? And it's always like something that you have to keep in mind is that you have to be careful on the Bitcoin markets when you see altcoins do something crazy, right? Be it a 50% drawdown on the altcoins or 50% or like a 500% kind of giga rally. It's always cause for concern when you see altcoins do something crazy. And if you like see Dogecoin go from 0 basically to 800 sats, I mean, that's not a normal thing to do. And that's mania right there. So you already have, like, at least in some sectors of crypto, you have the complete and absolute like mania coming out. And I'm saying this with a little bit of salt because I mean, I wasn't part of it. And the rest of it is just me being objective about it because this is fucking crazy, right? I mean, there's not that much to say about this with Dogecoin making new all-time highs. That's fucking mental. And I mean, I traded this for years and years. I kind of hate that it's broken it because that was so nice to trade. But then again, I mean, I like to see the Doge go up in general because fucking Dogecoin. Who doesn't love Dogecoin? It's just, this is too much. It's too crazy. The fact you showed Doge at 15 sats instead of 500 sats like other CT members makes me swoon on. Yeah, I mean, if only I got more, then I'd swoon too. Meme is money. That is true. That is true. I made a whole investment thesis about that shit. You have to ask Fred like a year ago or 2 years ago. I kept saying the memes are gonna overtake the world, and Dogecoin is a huge meme. So, yeah. Remember people making fun of you because Dogecoin was old? Yeah, good times, good times. Now Dogecoin is the new thing. It's how quick stuff changes in the crypto markets. It just goes up crazy, it goes down crazy. Yeah, gotta be careful. It was like last week, bro. That's not true. I mean, I might have repeated it last week too, but we talked about it years ago. The Doge chart is probably permanently broken. Yeah, I think so. I think so. But yeah, those are like the biggest charts, really. Like the Bitcoin chart, the ETH chart, and the Doge chart, which is hilarious in its own right, right? I mean, if you're looking at CoinMarketCap, you see Dogecoin here, right? In the top 10. And you see the volume go completely and utterly mental, right? At some point it was trading above, like with more volume than Bitcoin as far as I remember. So, I mean, that is like XRP kind of levels. I don't know if you guys been around in 17, 18, but XRP did the same thing back then. Overtook basically Bitcoin, or almost did. And that was the top, literally, for both XRP and for Bitcoin. So if Dogecoin gets any more crazy, if it starts approaching Bitcoin valuations, I mean, get the fuck out of the market, right? And we're already pretty damn close. Now, obviously, it's still a big difference there, right? But yeah, you get the point. And I mean, this kind of stuff has me shook. When you're looking at ETH already, I mean, ETH's not as surprising as some of these others, right? You look at Filecoin with this kind of market cap, and I mean, Filecoin, if you're looking, there used to be a tab here. How do you... I fucking hate the new design. That's why I usually use CoinGecko nowadays. But there used to be a tab where you could look at the total, basically, the total valuation. And I mean, Filecoin is fucking giga huge on that one. I just don't know how to do it on this one. Ah, there it is. Does that work? They used to have it so nice. Oh, there it is. And then you can order it by that. And then you see the fully diluted market cap of Filecoin is bigger than Ethereum's. And then XRP comes straight after. And on that tab, XRP literally overtook Bitcoin. And I mean, this is pretty close already, right? Just click on Filecoin. It's not what I wanted to show, but you get the point. So, I mean, there's a bunch of Filecoin not unlocked yet. And that's what drives, like, the market cap might be, I mean, it's already big, but might not be as big. But, I mean, the fully diluted market cap, I mean, you just look at this and you're like, okay. Okay, but yeah, I mean, this is something that you can look at. Something that I can also recommend is just looking at the historical data, just see where the market was in the past, and then look at it nowadays. Not that many faces around from back then. But yeah, should we talk about the other coins? Bitcoin Cash actually has a bull setup, in my eyes, has had for a while. Actually looks much better than Bitcoin does right now. And as long as it can reclaim or like keep this reclaimed support alive, I mean, it just looks like it's gonna moon, right? Now, whether you're a Bitcoin Cash believer or a Bitcoin believer, it doesn't really matter, right? We're just trading the chart, and that looks pretty good. Look at Save Moon, please. Nah, fuck that. Not interested. But yeah, so Bitcoin Cash on the weekly looks pretty damn good. On the daily looks good as well, in my opinion. No real reason to be too bearish. Like, this is the first time that we've actually had a bullish chart on Bitcoin Cash since basically December of 19, right? So we had a big bear market for Bitcoin Cash, and it's reversed most of the last few months in just 3 weeks. And that's a pretty big showing, and I think there's a good chance this just keeps going, right? So, I mean, it's one of the altcoins that I'm most closely looking at, Litecoin being another one. XRP, unfortunately, looks pretty bullish as well. I mean, there's no real reason to be too bearish on this chart. There's a good reason to be bearish on XRP, but the chart looks good, right? So we reclaimed the biggest resistance on the chart. And I mean, as long as this is the case, right, this kind of looks like it was a shakeout down here. And this can go. I mean, there's not really that good of a resistance left here either, right? So XRP, I mean, who knows if maybe it's the top, right? But the chart itself looks good. So lots of Dino coins look bullish right now. Yep, which is usually the end stages. Like at least in the last few months, it's been the end stages. So everything good rallied, and then the Dino coins started moving up a bit, and everything nuked. Nowadays, like, the Dino coins actually look more bullish than a lot of the other beta coins, for better or worse, right? A lot of the beta coins that people like more because they think the fundamentals are better are still shit, right? Fundamentally wise, most of this is garbage, right? So only matters what people think of it. Charts are so bullish, I think we'll all fail. Maybe trauma from bear market. Maybe. I mean, I don't really see a good reason to be bearish, right? You see this chart, for example, right? You see Litecoin. You see this chart. Do you want to be bearish here when it broke resistance, or do you want to be bearish below when it breaks this support again, right? Let's say this rolls over, and then we can all agree this is all chop, right? This entire thing is just giga chop. And I'm down with that, right? But I don't really see a good reason to be bearish up here, because it's done everything it was supposed to do, right? It broke the downtrend. It basically made a higher high, right? So you had this lower low here, but it also made a higher high. Now maybe this starts like ranging here or something, but it doesn't look bearish to me. And that can change real fast, right? And I mean, Dogecoin's been super annoying for me anyway. Like, I bought it down here, sold it somewhere in here. Like, I've tried to trade this on the long side like multiple times during this downtrend, right? I mean, I've only really traded Litecoin on the long side, right? So I was bullish in here into the halvening. That played out basically. I think that was that trade anyway. I don't think it was this one. Yeah, it was this one, pretty sure. And then it dumped, right? It went to bearishly retested the highs from 18, dumped. And then I tried a couple times, and it's always just been like I'm buying support and I'm selling like 10% higher, right? And the reason why I don't want to be doing that right now is because while, yeah, these have been nice, right? And I took like 10% or whatever, really nothing impressive happened on the entire way down. So we had highs, yeah, lows, whatever. Nothing impressive happened during this trend down. You didn't like get a big trend reversal or whatever. This was the closest that we got, and that just got smacked down by the first resistance, basically. This one looks a little bit different, so I'm just kind of happy to play it. And given that my entry is a little bit lower, I'm probably just gonna hold it until I get stopped out. And it's really hard to hold these things when they don't move like you want them to. Like, I want Litecoin to do this, basically, just straight up go. That would be the most bullish it could be. That's the thing that I would be expecting from it, right? But there's no technical reason to be bearish on it yet. And so I just hold it. And I could be wrong on that, right? And I'm gonna be wrong, I think. There's a good chance that if it goes below back here, we're just going to continue the downtrend. But I'm willing to take that risk. So that's why I'm still in Litecoin. It's not because I like Litecoin fundamentally. It's not because I like Charlie Lee. It's just because, I mean, the chart doesn't look bad. And I mean, I can make the same argument about XRP. We made the same argument actually on Weekly Open. Like a few weeks back. I think it was like at the start of this candle or somewhere in here. I don't know if anyone watches. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like almost certain it was one of these two. And then it went, right? And it still looks good. Now, I don't necessarily want to be longing XRP. I think there's better, other stuff that my time is better spent on. But the chart looks good still. Bitcoin Cash, same story. Like, this looks exactly like Litecoin does, basically. I think Bitcoin Cash actually looks a little bit better, structurally wise. But it's Bitcoin Cash. Who knows if it's going to rally or not? But sometimes it's worth taking the chance. And this could fail spectacular. It's just, I mean, that's how trading goes, right? EOS, on the other hand, like, that's one of the ones, of the older ones, still looks like crap to me. Yes, it retested the cycle low that it set ages ago, right? But I mean, this is not the breakout that you want to be seeing. And I could be saying that before it just pulls like 300% or whatever. But I mean, I just don't like it too much. And then TRX, same old coin, did the same thing, right? So undercut the range. The moment it reclaimed it, it just gigamooned. And this was the target. Didn't quite reach it. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to go back to support or to resistance first now. But it's not looking bad either. It's not one of the coins that I'm going to be touching myself because I don't like TRX. Like, I dislike TRX. But technically, still doesn't look too terrible. Don't XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin look identical on the Bitcoin pair? Yeah, which gives you more confluence, right? There's someone accumulating them. I mean, maybe he gets fucked, right? But there's someone decently sized enough that's accumulating them. So, yeah. Altcoins not showing distribution. How is it the top? I mean, that's literally how we topped in 17, 18. So you have Bitcoin here, December of 17. And I'm not saying it's 100% the top. I'm not even saying it's 50% the top, right? But let's talk about this real quick. Because people, for some reason, they're like, altcoins look amazing, Bitcoin cannot be topped. And it's the most stupid thing I've ever heard, because that's literally how Bitcoin likes to top, right? So you go back in history, and I mean, if you're making these kind of arguments, you kind of have to make them this way, right? And I mean, XRP was one of the first ones. So that topped in 5th of January, right? Bitcoin topped an entire month. Like, look at where Bitcoin was when this vertical fucking giga moonshot happened, right? So you can see XRP started rallying basically when Bitcoin was nearing the top, pulled back a little bit with Bitcoin, and then just went completely ballistic while Bitcoin ate shit. You get that? Like, I mean, I can show it on the weekly time frame too. Like, the most profitable 4 weeks of XRP were literally after Bitcoin had already topped. So you can say, okay, yeah, the altcoins, they're not looking like they're distributing. So Bitcoin cannot be topped. But that's complete bogus in my mind. Doesn't make any sense. Litecoin, same story. I mean, Litecoin was an early mover as well. Litecoin topped in 19th of February against Bitcoin. 19th of February, look at where that is. Like, Bitcoin just went to 6K from 20K. Here. And Litecoin made new highs. And if you're like arguing, okay, but the USD chart, right? If you're looking at the USD chart, XRP USD back then set the high on 1st of January, which is still after the drop, right? And XRP is one of the first movers, or was one of the first movers. There's other ones that moved later, right? For example, I mean, you have even Bitcoin Cash did well against Bitcoin way after Bitcoin had already topped. So, I mean, like that argument, I mean, whether you think the top's in or not, right? I mean, I'm not saying it is. I'm not even sure. Like, I'm not even above 50% certain that it is. Like, I think if you're betting on the top after, like in a trend like this, if you're heavily shorting this, you're probably doing something wrong. If anything, like risking off makes sense to me. But that argument has no grounds whatsoever, because altcoins are regularly used to distribute Bitcoin on people. You get retail in during altcoin rallies. Altcoins go completely ballistic, while Bitcoin looks kind of shitty, but no one really cares because altcoins look good. That's how you distribute the best. Now, is that happening? I have no fucking idea. I mean, we have a bunch of big people moving into Bitcoin, so the chances of like this just getting gobbled up, like someone big just buys this, are high. So I don't want to make that kind of grand calls. I don't think the kind of situation warrants it. But yeah, the argument that people bring forward is pretty shitty. Lots of people saying altcoin bull market is still in its early stages, so you don't agree. I mean, you just saw what XRP did, right? XRP looked like garbage or didn't do anything for years, basically, and then it pumped a shitload during a month. So you could be saying, like I could be saying altcoins, someone says altcoins are in the early stages, and they could be completely right. And in a month, they're up 10x, and they're already done. Like that's how the altcoin space moves. I mean, you just saw it with Dogecoin, right? You're like, okay, Dogecoin, you're in here, and you're like, Dogecoin is in its early stages of the bull market after like maybe like this 100, 200 sats run. And you might be right? But the top, I mean, there's a good chance Dogecoin is already topped, right? And that's only 13 days of rally. But it's up so much, and this is how the crypto markets work, right? You get a boring market, and you get a complete vertical kind of move that is really hard to get into, and then it distributes and just runs down. Now, this could have another leg and then do it, but I mean, in my mind, there's a 99% chance that Dogecoin just bleeds out from this. I mean, there's no real good reason to be macro bullish Dogecoin other than it being a meme. And I mean, I love Dogecoin. It's one of the altcoins I like best, right? So, yeah. No triple digit pumps in major caps due to big market cap. That's a good argument that you could say, okay, these are already so big. It makes no sense for them to pump that much. But it's a little bit flawed. Like they can pump that much. Like I'd be afraid to say they can't go up 5x because I mean they can. I think. I bought Doge at 40 cents. Is it over? I have fucking no idea, man. No idea. I wouldn't fucking buy it personally. But then again, I mean, I'm the guy that bought 16 sats actually, and then tried to get in big at 15, didn't get it, and then tried to get big down here, didn't get it, and then it rallied, and I was sitting on my hands basically. So I mean, take that with a grain of salt, right? But I mean, it's Dogecoin, dude. Like Dogecoin just does stupid shit and then retraces it all. How it trades. If you're an investor rather than a trader, would you sit tight on your Bitcoin bag or see this as a good time to get out? Now, if you're investing in it and you want a position in crypto, you'd be stupid to sell it, I think. Like as an investor, you're not really in the game to catch every move. It's not what you're trying to do. As an investor, right, you try to buy wherever. You want to have a position in this thing. And then you want to keep it and you want to run it. And you only want to invest because you believe in it. And if you don't believe in it anymore, like let's say, for example, my belief kind of cracked. Like I was super, super bullish Bitcoin. And then I was not during this time basically. And I was just looking for an exit because the fees were so high, I couldn't do anything with it anymore, right? Like I legitimately capitulated on this thing being a good idea because it was unusable during that time, right? Like that was not fun. You couldn't, like if you actually had it on your own wallet, your Bitcoin, you paid a shitload, it was slow as fuck. Like that's where my fundamental kind of judgment on this thing changed, right? And then I got out basically with both my trading and my investment stack. Now, that is a change in fundamentals that you could kind of use to get out, right? Because you're like, okay, I don't like it anymore. And from an investment kind of standpoint, like I don't like a system that doesn't work. That changed dramatically from 17 to now, right? Nowadays, Bitcoin is much more usable. But back then, completely unusable, and that actually printed the top. So if you're like an investor, you're not really looking to change your view just because Bitcoin went up 10x or 15x. It's not really what you're there for. You're just trying to catch or be in this thing because you're bullish on it. As a trader, that's very different. So I hope that helps. I mean, you can set your targets, right? When you're an investor and you have a target in mind, I mean, just stick with the target, right? Like, let's say you want to be selling at 100K. I mean, no one's stopping you, right? Like, it's the same thing as if you're investing in a startup or whatever, and you're like, okay, if this goes there and there, I'm gonna sell. I mean, that makes sense, right? I don't want my money in euro for much longer, yet I do still struggle with the idea of most of my wealth subject to Bitcoin volatility ideas. I mean, you can diversify if you want to, right? If you like euro or dollar is gonna go to zero for whatever reason, I mean, there's more than just crypto to kind of trade or have money in, right? I don't really get the people that like if you haven't made it, right? And that's a big difference. Let's say you're a 17-year-old guy, you have like 5 grand on your like your parents gifted you for your whatever. What's the thing where you get money gifts? Like bar mitzvah or whatever. I'm not even sure when that is. Stupidly uneducated on that front. But let's say you got like, or to your 18th birthday, your parents gave you like 3 grand or whatever. You can all in this shit all day long, right? You don't really like, you're losing it. Your life's not over, right? You're not completely screwed. Now, if you're 40 and you have 3 kids and you're all in crypto, I'm going to say you're a little bit crazy on the crazy side of things, right? Because if you lose it all, like let's say you lose your house or whatever, it's not only you that's going to suffer, it's your entire family, right? Because they depend on you. And that's very, very different than losing it all when you're 18, right? So whenever people ask me, okay, I don't want to be all in this thing, I'm like, okay, it depends on where you are in your life, right? If you've already built something and you don't want to give that back and you can't stand the idea of that, I mean, be a little bit more risk averse, right? And if you haven't, if you're just 18 and you're trying to make it, fucking blow it out the park, right? Try not to leverage trade. Do me that favor. Like, don't just go all in like 100x leverage and then just lose it in a day because you don't learn anything from it. And 2, I mean, even if you win, you're going to lose it eventually afterwards. But I mean, if you're investing at that point and you're going all in on Bitcoin, or you have like a coin that you like, and you're like, okay, I'm willing to take that risk, fucking do it. Like, there's nothing stopping you there. But whenever I hear like family fathers or mothers or whatever, maybe even invest with leverage, I'm like, dude, come on. Like, there has to be a limit on that kind of front. Don is giving family advice. Thank you. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be listening to people telling me that they all in Save Moon and lost their children's tuition again, because that's what I had to listen to a full year of 2018 when the altcoin market crashed, and Bitcoin did too, right? That's literally like, I had one entire year in my DMs where people DM'd me. I lost the money that I set aside for a house. I lost friends and family gave me money to trade with, and I lost that, and now everyone hates me. And then they're like, okay, I lost the money that my children should go to school with or whatever, right? And that just fucking sucks. When I have like an 18-year-old DM me and it's like, dude, I lost it all because I invested it all in SafeMoon. I'm like, okay, shit, sucks to hear, but I mean, you're gonna be fine, right? There's a big difference there. Doomer radio. Nope. Not gonna get triggered. It's just fucking common sense. Not gonna listen to it. I'm 19 and putting 90% of my paycheck in crypto. I mean, dude, go ahead, do it. If like that's the thing, right? Even if you completely sold on something, it doesn't have to work out, and that's completely fine, right? And I mean, it might sound like I'm doomering crypto, but it's like it doesn't like you. I don't even have to talk about crypto, right? It's the same thing. It's the same advice that I would give anyone. Like, let's say someone tells me they love Tesla at these prices and they will go all in. I would say the same thing. And the same thing with the fucking Wall Street bet people. Like, everyone's just fucking geeching it out. And I mean, like, the Zoomers can. And then if the adults get involved and just do some stupid shit, I mean, it gets a little bit more dangerous. Fucking hilarious. I mean, is what it is, right? But yeah, enough of that. I don't want to bore you again. Like you've heard me say this enough already, and I'm not here to risk manage anyone but myself, right? Top of previous cycle is still in profit. Think about that. Yeah, it doesn't really like. The last thing I'm gonna say about it, right? Yes, if you bought the literal top of this, you're fine, right? And this is exactly my point. Like, if you're buying this with money that you don't need, there's a good chance that in 10 years you're going to be completely fine and you're probably going to do really well, right? But if you're buying this with money that you cannot afford to lose and that you maybe have to pay back in a year or two, and this takes a dip for a year or two, which it doesn't have to, but if it does, you're going to be liquidated in its own right. You don't even have to touch leverage, right? Or let's say you take a position that kind of puts you in a position where you cannot afford, like, you're like, okay, I'm unemployed. I'm going to put like the last 10 grand of my savings in this thing. And then you're going to have to make a decision whether you want to eat something or if you want to sell crypto, right? And that's going to be an easy choice. And then you bought the top on leverage, basically. I mean, just don't be stupid, right? If you're buying some at any price, it's probably a good idea, right? It's fucking Bitcoin, only goes up. I'm just saying, don't be fucking stupid. Because if anything can force you to sell, it's probably going to happen at some point. That's all I'm saying. Even if it goes to like a bajillion after. Okay, enough of that though. Enough of that. So we talked about these boring boomer coins that I fucking love right now. I like Litecoin. I like Bitcoin Cash. I like that kind of stuff. We can talk about like the Zoomer coins, Link for example. Still pretty damn boring to me. I still expect this to range until it doesn't. The daily doesn't look that bad though. It's just, we've done this twice before. I'm not going to fall for it again. I was like looking for long entries on both of these. Didn't get any. I kind of smell like, do you guys remember when Cred bought and it was like, this is going to go, like he bought like, I don't know, 9K or something. I was like, this is going to go to like 50K on Bitcoin. And then it like dipped. And then it went up again. He's like, he's not going to fall for it. And then it just fucking gigamoon. It's going to be the same fucking thing with me here. Where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fall for it again. And then it just fucking giga rallies here. But the weekly time frame, I want to see that break out. And then Link looks good. BAT, I've seen a few people mention in the chat. I mean, did exactly what we're talking about when we were talking about it last. It retested support and then just ran all the way to resistance. So that's pretty neat. Monthly time frame, close that resistance. I want to see that close above it. If it does, I mean, that just looks good, right? So BAT, not bad looking, not too good, but like not too good yet, but it's getting really fucking close. Nano actually looked really interesting earlier. And I like how this is fucking blast of the past, huh? Like every time I made fun of people calling alt season, I wrote alt season on this chart. And fucking hell. Glad I didn't do it that like in here, otherwise I would have looked like an idiot. But yeah, it's starting to look pretty good. Let's redraw this chart because it's getting a little bit full. Reason why I think that starts looking good is because it broke basically the biggest resistance on the chart. And as long as it's trading above there, it's just finally back bullish, right? So you made a low, you made a higher low, you made a higher high. It's not bad. So Nano, technically an interesting coin to watch as well. One that I'm in, where is it? Oh, there. Leo. I mean, that just keeps doing nothing. But I'm in from lower, so whatever. It's still super annoying to watch, but I mean, not bad, right? On the charting front, anyway. Like, if you're looking at it in a nutshell, basically, like not in a nutshell. If you're looking at it just on its own, right? Just Leo, it just looks bullish. It's not moving much in relation to anything else. Don, can you pick the best alt setup? Give me a good one. Like, give me a good looking chart and I give you one. But the best looking for me anyway, like the best looking one that I'm following is Litecoin, followed by Bitcoin Cash, followed by XRP, which I fucking hate. So those are the three ones that look the best to me. Someone said BNB. I mean, we had BNB in the newsletter, chilled it at support multiple times. In here, I wouldn't want to be buying it up here, even though like doesn't matter, right? How high it is. I mean, it had its first leg. It's in its third leg now. If it does something like that, right, I think we're getting close, right? So this move was big. This one is a little bit smaller. It's not interesting to me. Like, if you want to be talking about BNB, come to me at support here. And we wrote about it on the newsletter. So if you want to check the newsletter, it's trletter.com. I mean, Kretner wrote about it literally at the support, saying it was looking bullish. XTZ is the best looking coin. I call bullshit right now. Looks kind of like, it looks okay, but in comparison to the other ones, it's kind of like whatever. Like, this is whatever. Zcash, actually, funnily enough, Zcash looks good. And has been looking good for a while. Hilarious. That's actually, I don't know why I drew this last time. It's a cursed chart. I hope it doesn't play out like that. But yeah, it looks good. Look at this. I mean, no one can complain about this anymore for the first time. Jesus Christ, leave me alone. You have a break below structure and you have a reclaim. This is one of my favorite altcoin kind of setups, and just looks good. Downtrend's kind of been broken. Now, if this is just gonna range, I mean, it just might range in here, but it looks pretty good to me, as long as it trades above support. If this just goes and turns around and breaks this, I'm never gonna be saying anything bullish about Zcash ever again. But I mean, right now, not looking too bad. All dinosaur coins look good? Yeah, I agree. Anything old looks good. Besides Bitcoin, I still don't like the look of Bitcoin. But I mean, that can change real fast. We talked about it earlier. Don, how do you trade longer time frames? If you can't watch charts all day because of life, or should you just look at investing at that point? No, that's the thing. You don't need to be like people on Twitter always are like that. You have to watch the charts like 24/7, right? And while that is like true at the beginning of things, like when you start learning what is important, what isn't, it becomes less and less so, right? You're looking at Litecoin, right? You're like, okay, when did this change behavior, right? You look at the daily time frame if you want to. You can even look at the weekly time frame. And if you're looking at this, right, you don't have to look at it every single day. You could take a day, like Sunday or whatever, go through all the charts that you have, make a thesis on some of them that you think that are looking good, and I mean, run with that. And there's going to be less trades for you. There's going to be I mean, your risk is gonna be percentage-wise. So let's say you entered in here with your risk down here, right? Which is sensible structurally wise, but then your stop loss is like 16% wide, right? And you don't want to be risking that much because, I mean, if you're risking too much as a beginner, you just tend to lose it all, right? So what you have to do is kind of push your position size down, right? You don't have to risk just 1% of your portfolio each trade. You don't have to do it with like 5. But let's say you have like a high conviction setup and you're risking like whatever 7-8% of your portfolio that you're willing to lose or whatever, of your trading portfolio. Doesn't have to be your investment portfolio, but your trading portfolio. Then you just have to scale down your position size, right? And then you let it run and you check back on it like twice or 3 times a week, and you're more than fine with that. Now, a lot of people don't have the patience for it, but they would do much better with that rather than leverage trading on casinos all day. So you can definitely trade the higher time frames. Just have to be a little bit more. You're gonna have to give stuff time to develop. And I mean, in my mind, it's the best way to trade. If you're making short-term decisions based on like you're looking at the 5-minute and you're like, okay, this looks bullish, it's gonna go up, and this looks bearish, so it's gonna go down or whatever. I mean, yeah, it might work for you, right? But anyone jumping in the market or getting out of the market is gonna influence this. And the higher in time frames you go, the less likely that is. And the higher in time frame you go, the more time you have to make your decisions. So my answer to that is no, you don't have to invest. You can trade. Even if you don't have as much time, you're just gonna have to be patient. And I mean, hope that answers your question. And at the start of your journey, you're obviously gonna have to spend more time because you don't really understand what this is all about. And it's not all about the charts. It's about narratives. It's about memes. It's about like a lot of things. But in my opinion, the higher time frame charts are gonna help you trade this in a good way. What is different this time that can have Bitcoin do around top multi-year top? It hasn't over the last 3 or 4 times. I mean, Bitcoin's much larger. So, I mean, it could. I'm not like every time I start saying that, I feel like I'm saying this is the top, which I'm not. I wouldn't put my hand in the fire for that. I mean, it would literally just a few percent off of the all-time high. If you start breaking down, go to support, bounce from there in a shit way, then maybe we can argue about it. In my opinion, in general, you don't want to be selling the top. You want to be selling the complacency bounce anyway. So me calling the tops like completely meaningless because I'm going to try to call the complacency bounce. Be that after this drops and then complacency bounce, or be that as like when it goes to 100K and then does the same. But the reason why this could round out top is just because, I mean, 1, it's much, much larger. And 2, I mean, you have different market participants now, right? So it's gonna change. Like, it's already changed in character. Like, this move wasn't like, that's not normal. That's not a normal Bitcoin move. Like, even while this looks vertical, we already, like, we had pullbacks in there. We had like an orderly kind of move. This one is just straight up big guys buying in, right? So, I mean, there's already a big change there. So you could argue that there's a good reason to not expect the top to look the same again. And that could play out for the altcoin thesis that I have as well, right? When you see altcoins go vertical, Bitcoin just could keep running because there's other people in the market right now. I have little reason to believe that, but I mean, it's a good argument to be made. Okay. Noob question here, how do you get different drawings saved on different time frames? So you go double click on whatever you drew, and then you go to visibility, and then you can choose it here. So for example, this box is on the weekly. We can do it on a naked chart. Oh geez, this is something I drew a while ago. Yeah, it's rough. So you draw something, right? You're like, this is support, or what used to be support. And then you're like, okay, I don't want to see that on the 4 hour. And that's the case right now, right? And that's how you do it. And if you want to be seeing it, you just enable this and then you click on it and you can see it. Okay, I think that's more than plenty. We've talked about everything that we wanted to talk about. Bitcoin's just going sideways. We broke down and now we're going sideways. So typical kind of market would be at least an attempt to nuke, and if that gets bought up, just giga rally, right? Let's say this breaks down here, and if it's not able to break down, it's just gonna rally, right? You just know it's going to, and then these resistances on the lower time frames aren't gonna do shit, right? If it just straight up rallies, it's a little bit different, right? But still, same story. If it can break the daily resistance and then actually go back to 61k, I mean, I just think it just super goes completely ballistic. As long as it doesn't, I mean, I'm willing to chill for these 10%, even more so because I've been on the cautious side of things in this box already. So even if it goes back there, I mean, I've just been cautious from here till to the exact same price. I don't mind. So hope that helps. I know it's been all over the place today. Like I said, I'm super tired. Day's been mega long. But still appreciate you sticking by, hanging out. Hope you learned something. If not, I don't know, DM Cred or something. That's the best way to go about it. Just DM him. And he'll happily answer any questions that you have. And yeah, before I end the stream, Blockfolio, the sponsor of the show, is pretty damn cool. So go check them out. Their links are in the description. Like I said at the beginning of the show, they do really nice kind of mobile phone trading. And on top of that, they still have their portfolio tracking stuff. So, I mean, if you don't want to be trading on there, portfolio tracking stuff's always nice. If you're trading the altcoins or if you're holding altcoins, because I mean, it's nice to know what altcoins you have and where they're at. So go check them out. Links are in the description. And yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. See you guys on Friday. Actually, we're gonna have a casual Friday this time around, because I was like, I haven't talked with Cred in so long. I want to do it again. So it's gonna be Cred and me on Friday, and then podcasts again next week. So yeah, thanks for coming by. See you guys. Bye bye.